Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. How do I get myself into these things? Welcome. Good morning, everyone in my time zone. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone else around the world. Welcome to my channel. My name is Margaret Pennard. I'm a historical fiction author and an eclectic reader, and you are on Booktube. So, welcome to Final Friday. It is the last Friday in May, and when it's the last Friday or the first Friday, we do a productivity stream. So we just body double. We just help each other get stuff done when we're really not feeling like it, but we really need to. In addition, today I will be giving a little announcement for later in the summer for this huge project that I've undertaken for the channel. So we will be saying hello in the first 5 minutes, doing our first sprint for 25, and then taking a break, and rather a large break, so that I can communicate what is happening in August. So hopefully you can join. You can either read, you can write, you can edit, you can do laundry, you can watch something on the stove, whatever you need to do. Leslie's here. We already chatted because she is also doing a stream over on her channel. Impromptu, that is her word for her sprints usually. Catpaw is here. Hello, hello. Good morning. Anita is here. Hello, hello. Jocelyn is here to say howdy, peeps. How you guys doing? Awesome to see your lovely faces. If you have something in mind to work on, pop it in the comments. I am going to be working on postcards. So it is the end of the month, which means I'm going to be sending out patron postcards between the 1st and the 5th. And I usually have the same people, but I pre-game that because I need to match the postcards. I need to get the addresses. I need to write the messages, put stickers on, whatever I'm going to do, and then stamp them all. And then take pictures and all that stuff. So I sort of pregame it a bit before the 1st of the month, just so that everything else that happens on the 1st of the month doesn't feel like too much. So that is my end of month, beginning of month routine. How about you guys? What you working on? So got my announcement at the first break. I'm going to ask you about your announcements at the second break, and then I'm going to talk about current reads. So I've got all the stacks ready to go. I'm also going to talk about how to do nothing-a-thon, which is a readathon for a specific book. It's like a read along and discuss of Jenny Odell's book, How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy. So we've gone through the introduction in chapter 1, and May is for reading chapter 2. So I read chapter 2, I took notes, and I'm ready to pick out the things that I found really interesting and share them with you. I also saw Grace's video. Grace is the one hosting this, whose idea it was. And so I saw her video right before this because she put it out this morning. And I was like, oh, right. I should do that sharing before May is over because, yeah. So I'll be talking about Biblioserendipity. And that's sort of a co-created term with Brian of the Bookish Texan. We're still auditioning for new terms, but I'll tell you what I mean when I get to that section. So, all right. A.F. Stewart is going to be attempting to write up some interview questions for my podcast. Awesome. Very, very cool. And Mojo is here. Hello. Editing and putting up my latest book as a paperback. Woohoo. I had the wrong Isbin. I'm just going to say it. It's been for the paperback, so I need to reformat before uploading a new file. That's annoying. Most perfect task to get done with other people watching so that you can shove it off your desk and feel fresh and new and accomplished. Jocelyn's telling us she's free writing today in order to finish a scene. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, free writing. I'm in the editing process, so I'm like waiting to get back to actually writing. Okay, so it's 5 minutes after. We're going to jump into our first sprint. I will mute myself and leave the scroller up so that I know when to stop, hopefully. And I'll see you in 25 minutes. There we go. A watched clock never turns the minute, does it? Like 10:29 forever. It's finally 10:30. Okay. So 1 sprint under our belt. I got 3.5 postcards done. How'd you guys do? We had a little commentary on what people are reading, so I'll run through those. It's fun. We had Leslie say she's currently reading a comic, Gideon Falls, Volume 1. Excellent. Oh, you're reading so many at the same time. Can't keep up. Speaking of can't keep up, that stack is the racing through comfort reads of the last week. So, relatable. Jim came in, said hello. He is reading Waystation, which I don't think I know right off the top of my head. Don't forget to boop the like button. Thank you, Jim. Grace is here from Books and Cooks. Thanks for the shout out. I will share. I am reading Paul Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl, which I've heard of from several people a little while ago. And Grace says, very good and weird and funny so far. Excellent. Beth Ann is here. Hello, hello. Just chugging along in project management land over here, trying to keep tabs on too many things. Yes. Keeping tabs. I hear you. I was just telling a friend yesterday that I had too many things in my head. I was holding on to too many threads. And so I wrote down all the things that I was trying to remember to do and didn't get much done on it yesterday. but it was helpful because then I didn't feel like I was losing all the balloon strings, It was like, it's written down. At least I won't totally forget it and ruin someone's life. So it's important. Nice to see you, Beth Ann. Ven is here. Hello, hello. Are you reading or working, Ven? Cat Paw says, Fed cats started combing through today's property listings. Ugh, such a chore. Yeah. Good luck. I hope something pops out and turns into some good fortune today. Jocelyn said, made some good progress. Excellent. Jocelyn is, did you say free writing? Awesome. You did say you're free writing for your book. Well done. Jim says Waystation is sci-fi by Clifford D. Simak, who I've heard of. It's a reread. I read it when I was a teen into sci-fi. Wow. So it's classic by now, right? I think everything we read as teens is now considered classic. Oh, Cat Paw says finished Marble Hall Murders last night. And I think I saw on social media that you liked that. Something. It's not representation. Maybe it was voice. I think you said something about it. Very cool. Anita says made progress with the interview. Only a few more questions to think of about Irish legends. Oh, nice. Irish legends. Well, no, that's close but no cigar. So I don't have anything to say about that at the moment. Keeping my thoughts in their lane. Mojo says, still stay getting vellum was the best buy ever. Oh, getting vellum. Gotcha. Updating a book is so easy and can be done on the fly. Nice. I don't have vellum. I have Atticus now, but I tried it and was on for like 2 minutes before. So I haven't really tried it. Ben says, trying to edit my first vlog, but I've updated my editing software to a newer version and things have changed. Oof. Yeah. Interesting. So you've come back from the technology cliff where you tried to do a thing with a new computer and it exploded. And now you're updating software on the second new computer that's like a zombie computer, and the software has changed and exploded. So it's not a good season, is it? Waystation is a 1963 sci-fi novel, so older than he is. Okay, so definitely classic. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So we're getting a lot of good stuff done, a lot of like positive progress on people's dashboards, I guess I would say. So well done, everybody. Good job. I'm going to be taking this break to, number one, talk about the chapter I covered in May for the How to Do Nothing readathon, and number two, tell you about Agitation August. So one is going to play into the other, actually, you'll see. So How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy by Jenny Odell and Grace, the leader of the read-along. We're on chapter 2 for May. It's a slow read-along so that we have time to digest, time to think about things. And this chapter is really a lesson in Biblioserendipity. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. I think I co-created this term with Brian at Bookish, but it could be already out there. I don't know. I haven't looked for citation clips. But basically, biblioserendipity, meaning you're reading things that are talking to each other. And because of the timing and because you're thinking about them deeply and critically, like they start to comment on the things that are related, even if they're completely unrelated in topic. So this is like social commentary critique, right? And I've also got this series, which is the Boudica series by Amanda Scott. Sorry, I'm holding it right over her name. And I'm on the final book, haven't started it yet. And then I've got this book, which if you recognize, it's a interlibrary loan with the little jacket thing. It's academic text about the Irish working classes in the 19th century into the War of Independence and how they sort of dovetailed and did not stayed separate from socialist movements and that kind of thing. And then finally, I have Abundance, which is a newer release from Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson, and it talks about the political vision of the left, the liberal left, the supply side. So things that aren't really related, but they wanted to make it related. So here's the two comments. Basically, I had two quotes that I was really struck by in this book, and we'll tell you how they relate. The title of the chapter is The Impossible Retreat, and I thought that was really interesting with this because I am not very up. I'm not very familiar by now, because it's been 20 years since college, with the various political designations of movements. And like, I'm reading another book about fascism and populism, which is very theoretical, and I'm a little lost. So the whole like, what is left, what is liberal, what is populist, what in different periods of history is a little confusing for me. But when I read this and I was looking for details about how did people organize, where were their goals the same, who was joining in with which movements in Ireland in the 1830s, I was interested that several articles spoke directly to that in this book. And they were talking about the intersectionality in groups that retreat from society. So let me unravel that a little bit. This chapter 2, is talking about people who got fed up with how society was being dysfunctional and wanted to leave it and start their own commune, right? So it went in a little bit explaining different communes and how they also fell apart because you still have to live with a social group and the same problems just keep cropping up. And so you can't really retreat. It's impossible. When I was thinking about the Irish people who were in the labor movements, who were in the socialist movements, which is not a lot, who were in the nationalist movements, there's all these different tiny niches that are separating people, but there's the same impulse behind a lot of it. So it was interesting to see that in history and what I was studying for my current work in progress, they were sort of nitpicking who was allying with who and why, whether it was political or not. And in this book, they were talking about intersectionality and dream communities, or idealistic communities, where because they couldn't separate their identities into, well, this part of me likes this tenet and that part of me likes that tenet, it made for difficulty with people interacting with each other. And I thought, I just had this weird sort of like connection. So, yeah, middle class, working class, like just sort of, so that's sort of churning in my brain as I think of details to add to the work in progress. The second piece, besides that intersectionality in communes, was about a Hannah Arendt quote, which Grace also talked about. It was the unpredictability of a plurality of agents. And I'm taking the word plurality to mean the most number of votes, but not a majority. So, like, if you have an election and you have 48% vote for someone and no one else got more than 48%, they win, but they don't have a majority because it's not over half, because maybe there's lots of parties, right? So a plurality of agents essentially is like a diversity of agents. So when you have a diversity of opinions and people acting on them in a small community, for example, a commune, it's unpredictable, and that makes it hard to govern, and that makes it hard for peace and harmony and love, right? And so that was one of the points in the chapter. And that is what was rubbing up against abundance. So this book is, like I said, a new release. It's by a couple political commentators. And basically, they're talking about the failure of the left to address supply side inefficiencies, and the fact that they sort of ceded that ground to the right and the market-based solutions, and they haven't gotten us very far. So like, we need to do the work on that side too, and marry it with the welfare programs and stuff on the demand side that the left has traditionally been dealing with for the past 70 years. And the fact that that's a really good point. And, government inefficiency on the supply side to provide solutions, or enable the market to provide solutions, is a fair point in abundance. But this unpredictability of a plurality of agents is what we have to grapple with in democracy. And I saw those two as sort of like sliding right past each other. So the biblioserendipity there is just that it's hard to talk about everything in one book, but they were trying to pinpoint, for strategic reasons, the fact that you can't escape and you got to work together in this book. And in abundance, it was more like, we're trying to work together, but we're ignoring half of the solutions. And why are we doing that? Which is fair. So interesting. And then Grace's video this morning, which I just watched, she mentioned the Thomas Merton sort of sideline in the chapter. The book is a lot about lots of examples and sort of historical things thrown in to enliven the conversation, but they don't necessarily go in order. It's just sort of like lots of interesting tidbits. So there's a piece about Thomas Merton, and I wanted to read Thomas Merton, really get into him back when I was thinking, how do I merge this Catholic upbringing with social justice issues that I feel called to embrace? And I never could. Like, I started to read Seeds of Contemplation. I had that book for like 20 years, and I finally unhauled it a couple years ago, being like, this isn't for me. I just can't get into it. It's not compelling. But anyway, Jenny Odell describes his journey much more succinctly as one who tried to escape, thought that was the way, wrote a book, Seven Story Mountain, about it, and then came back to thinking, well, you can't really escape, so we really have to embrace the social aspect and working together. And that is where I think it sort of overlaps with the Boudica series. So Amanda Scott has done, she's still writing, by the way, but this is like a 1990s classic of fantasy or historical fiction. She's written of a culture about which we don't know much, the ancient British tribes before the Roman invasion and at the time of the Roman invasion. And she talks about the fact that you have warriors and you have dreamers. They're sort of like taken out classes or specialized classes of people in this tribe. And they have very specialized rituals. They have traditions that they uphold. And there's a lot of time where they have to be alone, where they have to be in solitude, where they have to meditate to a super high level. And that sort of directs the judgment of their tribal council, is how I would characterize it, I guess. So I love the characterization. I mean, it could be mostly made up. There's no texts that tell us about these tribes and their ways, but she sort of takes a little bit of Druid culture and, a lot of research, I would assume, and gives us this really interesting day-to-day, like how people treated each other, what those rituals might have been. And it's fascinating, but there's a lot of retreating from society so that you can be a better person and coming back in and yielding your talents for the greater good, which is something we need, I think. But that's kind of what Grace was talking about, Thomas Merton, in the piece that Tony O'Dell talks about. So like these are talking to each other. So I just love all that. And I think a slow read along, which I've never done before, is a great way to slow down and go, oh, what about this? What about this? So that made me very happy to reflect on. And so thank you to Grace for that. I like to challenge my patience, apparently, with all the tech stuff. Yeah. Grace says, I can definitely see that connection. Interesting to read about those small but sometimes critical differences and similarities among political groups. Huh? And oh my, interesting about abundance. It sounds like a useful thing to consider in terms of addressing issues from all sides of the problem. I'll be interested to hear your final thoughts on that. Did I already review abundance? Yes. And actually, that was my last wrap up. So if you want to get more in detail, I took some of the quotes from that book and went over my thoughts. But yeah, I just popped up in this one because I was watching other people's opinions on it too, which was interesting. Hello, Emma Bennett. Thank you. Thank you for saying hello. We've come to the big announcement time. So I have my checklist of things to say so I don't forget. Agitation August. If you know the channel, I have been doing something special in August for the past couple years. I did fireside chats and wind down Wednesdays. Fireside chats was like big energy, like creative fire, right? Like what drives you and what are you working on and that sort of thing. I had interviews with people every day in the month. And then a wind down Wednesdays was more about like quietly refilling the creative well. And so we went from high energy to low energy. And in 2025, we're back to high energy, folks. So that was my quote at the beginning of this. How do I get myself into these things? Every weekday, I'm trying for every weekday in August, I'm going to have a guest on the channel and we will be talking about agitation. So the current crop of anti-intellectualism in Booktube and Book Talk is what got me thinking about this. I was sort of casting around for what could be my theme for an August intensive, and this is what kept cropping up. And I was like, this seems to have really hit a nerve, and it's both book community focused as well as larger political landscape focused. So I thought this would be really interesting to talk about in our smaller community. And so what I'm going to do is there's all the folks in the description below who I've tagged their channels in the chat. They will be coming on to talk about a book that either started them on their journey of agitation or activism or critical thinking, critical reading, and or a book that is like a current one that's sort of feeling very relevant and they just want to talk about some of the issues or themes that come from that book. So I've got most people's books, a few are still thinking, but I'm going to be putting out a schedule so that everyone knows who's going to be when, and you can listen into all the interviews either live or after the fact. I will be putting out a playlist link so that you can see them all afterwards if you're not available in August at all these times. For sure, there will be recordings and public. I will be doing a calendar graphic so you can share and remind people to come in and chat, because what I really want this to be is a group discussion of like what meaningful issues are hitting people at this point and how they are responding. So if it's personal conversations, if it's book recommendations or lists or getting out in the streets and stuff. So there's the calendar graphic. I'll be including everyone's book recommendations as a sort of reading list. So if you find 1 or 2 or 3 that you're like really jazzed about and and they're already on your reading list and you want to participate in that conversation, especially, you'll know when to aim for that book. So that will be really fun. And then finally, just like I did last year, I'm going to have a little scavenger hunt of words. And what that means is that for every interview, the guest coming on my channel is going to be sharing a word that they like that may have a little intellectual shine to it. And so if you watch that interview, you write down that word, maybe it'll be on your bingo card. So I'm going to gather everyone's words. I don't have them yet, and then put them on bingo cards. And then when you listen to the interviews, you can see if you get a bingo by the end of the month. And then I'll have like book gift certificates. Of course, that's the way that's my love language, is buy more books, right? And so we'll have maybe 3 of those at the end, and we'll see if anyone gets a bingo or, has enough words that like it's likely on their bingo board. So I'm trying to make this fun. I'm trying to make this agitating in terms of like stirring up sentiment so that people feel enriched and enlivened and energized to engage with the community and just talk about it so that it's not squished under all the flood of headlines and other things going on. So this is what I'm trying to highlight in our community. And I'm very happy that all these people are going to be joining in August. So this is as far as I can do long-term planning, really. If you know me, you know. So I've been working on this for over a month, and hopefully we will have all those little deliverables that I mentioned popping out in the next month or 2 in June and July so that we're all set to go in August. So August 1st is a Friday. I'll be sharing the kickoff, and then we'll start with Dee Dee on August 4th. Some people had some very strict calendar limitations and others did not. So if you look down in the description, I've included all of the channels that are currently in, and definitely go and subscribe to them, check them out, and we will see a parade coming through in August. And I'm just so excited for that and so grateful for these folks that have felt the enthusiasm for the project. And we'll be discussing all sorts of different things because, there's lots of different issues to engage with. So hopefully we'll get a diversity of things that we're talking about and maybe some biblioserendipity between the books being discussed. So that would be my dream. But yeah, so this is the super long break to discuss that. And now we'll pop back into the chat and then maybe do our second sprint in a minute. But woof. Yeah, so Emma's, don't forget to boop the like button. Thank you. Chris says, I will go watch that for sure. The wrap up. Awesome. Thank you. Emma says, that does sound fun. Yes. Beth Ann says, dang, that sounds great. I can't wait. I do still have a few slots if you want to be a guest and you have a book that fires you up, that agitates you to get involved in the political process. You can definitely send me a note, and I have spaces. So I can just shove other things around. So let me know. Grace is so excited to participate and engage with everyone. Yes. And Ben is very excited. Yay. Jocelyn says, had to step away. I know I missed something important. Yes. So I just talked for about 10 minutes about Agitation August, and I'll probably clip it and maybe chop it up and make it a short because it's important to get out the word so that we have a good audience and can build, attention for these issues that are important that people will be discussing. So yes. Okay, so I'm glad I was prepared. That is off my chest, out of the way, and now we can get back to sprinting. It's almost 55, so we're going to do another 25-minute sprint, which means we'll go till 20 minutes after the hour. So if you have questions, let me know. That's Agitation August. So yeah, if you have questions, let me know in the chat below if you're watching this on the replay. If you want to be involved and come on the channel and read a book for August, please let me know as soon as possible because I'm trying to read books with folks before August and it's a very busy summer. So earlier the better. And we have slots at the end of the month, like the last week and a half, there's a couple slots open. But yeah, that is what's going on. And I'm just really excited and grateful for the folks that are participating and gonna try to make it as impactful as I can in appreciation for your attention and thoughtful consideration. So that is my goal. All right. So we'll jump into our sprint. I'll watch the questions flood in and we'll take another break in 25 minutes. Thanks, everybody. There we go. 20 minutes. This is, I was going to say a paid actor, but then I was like, no, it's not. Welcome back, everyone. Our second sprint is done. How did you do? What did you get done? Let me ask this question. I'm going to report back. How many did I get done? I got 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So pretty good, a little bit more efficient. I'm doing my patron postcards, and if anyone is curious, that is the link if you want to sign up for bookish mail anywhere in the world, unless you're somewhere that just sends back my mail because it's not good enough. Jim. Which makes me sad, but apparently some countries just have their own way of processing mail, e.g. spitting it back out. But yeah, any announcements? So I led at the last break and shared Agitation August as my announcement. To embroider a little, today is Friday. It's the final Friday of May. I will have a stream on Sunday as regularly scheduled where I'll talk about readathons for June because it is June 1st. So there's lots of stuff going on in June for sure. So I'll be talking about that. And then next Wednesday, I'll have my Wednesday wrap up with a bunch of books. As I said in the last wrap up, the reading slump is over. So I'm racing through lots of books at the moment. And if you're on the Patreon, you may know why. So yeah, so lots of stuff going on, and tell me what is going on your channels. What are your goals for the summer? What is happening? What's coming up? Or share a current read that you may be reading right now. And then I'll go over current reads after our last sprint. So what do we got, everybody? Anita's still working on interview questions. 2 questions left to finish. You said it's for your podcast. So are you answering the questions or coming up with the questions? I thought you were coming up with the questions, but this makes me think that you're answering them. Maybe it's like a book tag. Maybe you have to like do both as the interviewer. Ben says, I think I cracked it. Seem to have saved most of my editing from the older software. So I think it's done. Yay, vlogs. I'm going to be doing vlogs this summer too. So I have to get back on that horse, which is why the other computer is booted up because this one won't take it. It's a rocky road for sure. Beth Ann says, I love getting my Patreon postcard. Yay. I could give you a preview of your June one. I already wrote on it, but we'll save the suspense. We'll save it for later. Leslie says Gideon Falls, the manga or comic book that she was reading was really good and scary. At some point, I'll be reading Infidel, which is another horror comic, but first I'll tackle some clerical tasks. Ooh, okay. Good. Yeah, you got to mix it up. And don't forget, hydrate. Hydrate in between there. I just brewed some barley tea, which if you live in a Koreatown or a Korean enclave around the world, you know is so good iced. So I'm waiting for it to cool down. Probably have some after the stream. Beth Ann says, I'm currently reading Silent Spring and Better Living Through Birding by Christian Cooper. Nature stuff. Awesome. Better Living Through Birding. So Christian Cooper, I think I know him from social media. There's another similarly titled birding book that was popular, and it was by an Asian named writer who's a woman, and I can't remember it right now. But this is the one that I wanted, that I was more interested in reading. Yeah, because of his perspective. And Silent Spring, we got a classic. Love it. Anita is clarifying, writing the questions and 2 left to come up with. Okay, so I guess it's like you're trying to relate them and have them flow naturally, which is a delicate art. I understand. Ben says, I can settle down to read now. The Inkling of the Flame by Z.B. Steele, who is my author interview for June. Yay! Yeah, I was going to ask, like, can we get a preview of the authors that you contacted? I was interested. Yeah, you get some great interviews. ZB Steele. That's quite a pen name. Inkling of the Flame. It's a good title, too. Georgia mail service sucks. Yeah. I mean, I've already discussed with you the Turkish mail service, right? And how Byzantine it was, and I'm sure, like, you've got experience there as well. Just make no sense. It was like the comical stereotype of, like, communism trying to solve a problem, but it was in a modern capitalist country, so I had no idea what was going on. Monique, how is the mail in your country, by the way, in Poland? Do they let you down, or is it better? Mojo is starting on June newsletters this weekend. Fingers crossed. I have 12 each month. That's crazy. That's all I can do because, like, I can't even aspire. That's just too much. You're so good. Leslie says, I am on hiatus for June, but tonight another YouTuber I'm a fan of is fundraising for their short film tonight. It's horror related. So I know that isn't my channel's vibe, but if you are a horror fan, check out Leslie's channel. I don't know if you're still sprinting, Leslie, but I'm pretty sure you've got a link in your chat. You can put it in here if you want. It might be easier to find in your chat. But yeah, doing a little fundraiser for a horror film. And so I need to write a post to promote their event. Cool. All right. Maybe it was Amy Tan. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I think it might have been Asian woman, famous birding book. Yeah. Okay. Jim just put up a TBR video for June. So I think Jim's probably got June on the Range picks in there. Maybe joy reading for June, which of course I can't do because I am actually like zeroing in on my Herkyed, like my 9.5 books left, because I want to be able to say I did Herkyed in the inaugural year and then never have to do it again. I mean, Stephanie's not watching my videos, but if she was, I would say that's the goal, and then I never want to have to do it again. I do things once, and then I'm happy that I did it once, and I don't have to continue to torture myself. Oh, yay. Bethan, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on Cooper's book. Yes, me too. Anita says, another episode of Trope or Not to Trope is coming up in June over on Go Indie Now, and my new cozy paranormal mystery is out in July. Awesome. Is it the third? Is that the third one, or did I think it's the third one. Did I miss one? Leo, hello. Coming in late to say hi. Hit that like button. Thank you, Leo. Leo's probably still at work. And I was just doing Patreon mail, so I have already completed your postcard. Ha ha ha. I haven't heard of Amy Tan's birding book. Might need to add that to the TBR. Maybe. Yes. Okay. So horror film / horror book aficionados, check out this creator, King Nikki, I think was the name. They're fundraising for a cool project, so you might be interested. And Mojo says, we actually have to go to the post office and have them mail weighed to send to the US. I have to do that here. Otherwise, we usually get notifications from the administration, our version of not HOA, but the other one, co-op. Oh, okay. So you have like a thing that maybe everyone else in the country doesn't have, but they give you notifications. Barrett does the notifications thing for his mail. Maybe that's when you have like a PO box here. I don't know. I don't get those. Yay! I love the postcards. Oh, so Cat Paw says to Anita, what's the title? And do you have a pre-order link? Cozy Paranormal Mystery Lovers. The trope or not to trope episode will be number 2. No, I meant your Cozy Paranormal. We had to cancel May's episode due to a lot of bad luck. Okay. All right. No, we're talking about the book in the series. Yeah. Hey, JC. Lovely to see you too. We're asking for any announcements, so stuff that's coming out soon or events that are happening, because I just shared a big August intensive with everybody. So lovely to hear other people's events as well. And then we're going to share current reads after our next sprint of 25 minutes. So let me just update my scroller for that. Let's see. And I'll give you a fun question as well. till 30:55, and then we might go over, which is fine. Okay. All right, we'll put that up, and then we'll talk about current reads and the question of the day if anyone answers it. Yeah. And then last chats. Hello, Erin. Welcome, welcome. We're in our third and final productivity sprint for the stream. Says postal service. What's that? Sarcasm font required. That's brilliant. Anita says the book title is Murder, Magic, and Maple Fudge, and it's a new series. Oh, okay. So it's not the two detectives you have. I thought that was cozy paranormal. Maybe not. Maybe it's like paranormal horror. You got a lot of genres going on. So, okay. Nice. Ven says, I love that title. Hey, Ven, you might have a fourth author to add to your list. Check out Anita's titles. Kappa says, remind us closer to the release, Anita. Perfect. Sweet. So connections in the chat. I love it. So feel free to answer the question of the day. Otherwise, I'll see you to talk about current reads in 25 minutes. There we go, 55 minutes. So I'll probably go over a little bit so that we can have a last chat after that third and final sprint today. How did we do? What did you get up to? I want to talk about current reads. I've got a few. They're not talking to each other. But maybe you have some Biblioserendipity to share. Let's see. So Jim said, I have one June on the Range book, True Grit, and the thumbnail is Western inspired. Very cool. The others are a mix of books, including my mammoth, Cryptonomicon. I just heard someone refer to Cryptonomicon in a good light, and I don't remember what it was. They were saying that they really liked it. I was like, oh, there's hope for Jim. Maybe it'll get good. Anita said, no, not the detectives. So it's something in Anderson. That series is 4 books. Okay, so I did miss one. There's 4 books, not 3. And counting to 5, very impressive. There's a separate series, which is Cozy Paranormal, but this one is Cozy Detective Steampunk. Okay, gotcha. Laura made fun of me. Thanks a lot. Leslie says, that sounds like a fun book to Anita. And hello, Elaine popped in. Cobalt Dragon. She says, LOL, Leslie, I was popping in here to hit the like and then popping over to your live to hit the like. So many sprinters today. Yes. That's why I try not to put the pressure on people and sprint a lot. I just have 2 per month. That helps both me to keep it like as a sharp honed tool for when I really want to focus, and also lets other people spread out and take out some space. So that's at least what I'm thinking of. Elaine says, maybe back in a bit. If not, have a great weekend. Elaine's working on her garden and having fun, so that's excellent. Mojo said, gotta call it, almost 9 p.m. for me, and the cats are looking at me like I'm a snack. Enjoy, everyone. Yeah. It is warming up today. It's going to be over 80, and I gotta get the heat down overnight, but it should be okay. Constance is here. Hi, y'all. Having a day. Doesn't sound great. All right, so I had a question of the day that Elaine answered before she popped off, or when she came back. I'm not sure. I asked for creative concoctions in the kitchen because if my mom is listening, she presented me with a whole bag full of like gourmet food wrapped up. And so I've been unwrapping them one by one. The last one was a creamy cauliflower soup. And I had to go get cauliflower and cream because I don't always have those in the fridge. But I made it yesterday and it was smelling a little oregano heavy, but then it mellowed out with the cream and it's really good. So even though I don't have an immersion blender to make it like creamy, the creamy cauliflower soup is really good. So I enjoyed some of that yesterday and we'll have some more today. Feels very good. You know, there's not that much cream in it, but it's feeling like a healthy choice. All right, so Cat Paw's answering the current reads prompt, and they said The Winter Sea. Yay! I have a copy waiting to go to a lucky reader. But like you said, Mexico Postal Service. Bleh. Left Hand of Darkness, which is on my list for the next month. So awesome. And The Domestic Revolution, which I'm not familiar with because that's a pretty general title. So let me know the author of that one. Sounds interesting. Eloise is here. Hello. Eloise is down in the description as one of the August guests. Yay. Happy Friday, my friend. It's going to be a warm one today. Elaine says, I'm back. Created chaos at Leslie's. Now I am back. Sweet. And Jim says, I have an hour left to read in Way Station. An hour left. Does that mean you're reading it as an audiobook? Or are you estimating the time it will take? Curious. Victoria Wright Stuff says, I'm finishing the most recent book in the Amari and the Night Brothers series. Oh, wow. Very cool. I didn't know it was a series. So this is a really good book. It's got a lot of hype, like critical hype on Booktube. So it's on my TBR, but I don't have it yet. So it's still on my wish list. But it sounds really good. I think it's going to be one I like. So I'm stoked there's a series. And she's finishing the most recent one. Excellent. Domestic Revolution is by Ruth Goodman. Okay, you recommended Ruth Goodman to me before, so this must be like a Lucy, whatever her name is, situation where they've become like an icon of a sort of presenter, podcaster. But yeah, Ruth Goodman, historian stuff. Very cool. Very cool. Woohoo. Eloise says, I'm here for the worm. Not me. Not me in this apartment, baby. Ah. Elaine says, current read is Sarek, starting book trek early. Ah, that's right. You were talking about book trek with Gavin yesterday. Needed a fun read. Just finished book 2 of the Dresden Files, which is a little heavier, I think. Nice. Nice. And Anita says, current read is The Dragon and the Pearl by Jeannie Lynn. I've read one of Jeannie Lynn's co-written books. Nice. Excellent. Dragon and the Pearl. I bet that's a fantasy. Sweet. Okay, so my current books are all, well, no, 2 out of 3 are for Herkyed because I am trying, y'all. I'm finally cracking into Waiting for the Night Song by Julie Carrick Dalton. And this is set in the New Hampshire woods. This is why I tipped off Grace about it because I think she's in New Hampshire. But yeah, this was built as a cli-fi thriller, so a climate thriller. And it starts off very like the Alice Henderson books that I've read and recommended. I haven't read Julie before. This is her debut book. She's got another one since this one. But this starts off like Alice's because it's with a science researcher in the field, and she's trying to save a type of thrush, Burdick's thrush or something, and its habitat is changing, and they're in the middle of wildfire. It starts out very excited, and now it's delved into 2 timelines with the same person. And the modern timeline also reflects back to the past timeline. So it's interesting. I am going to definitely finish it for the readathon, and we'll see what I think at the end. This is a really old iPad, but the reason I have it is because I'm reading. Let's see if it'll open it up to that's my background. Nope. Rakuten Kobo. So it's not a Kindle. It's going to take forever because I haven't opened it in a while. Bones to the Wind by Tatiana Obi. So she is a good, that's promising, writer who's been on Chelsea's channel, Sam Lockhart, Written in Melanin. So that's how I know her, maybe, or other sources as well. But fantasy and pirates and Black author. So like I think that's how they got on the list initially, and finally read their book, Bones to the Wind, due to Herkyed. So I'm glad it's getting me out to get some of these books that have been languishing on my list. And the final one, I don't know why this would be relevant right now, From Fascism to Populism in History by Federico Finkelstein. And this is a book I got new, but several years ago, and I never read it. So this is a nonfiction written by an academic researcher, and it's pretty dry so far, but I'm not that far in. This is the one I was talking about with being lost a little bit with political definitions of terms. He's losing me here, but I'm trying to hold on, trying to get through it. So those are my 3 reads currently, and yeah, that is what we're working on. Let's see. Jim says the Tbilisi International Book Fair is now until Sunday. Very nice. So it's Friday night in Georgia. Sacramento Book Fair, I'm sure they call it international, just like they do their airport, is also going on this weekend. So I have a friend, at least one friend, who's going to be there, which is pretty cool. I saw it in her newsletter. I hope it's fun. If you're going, Cat Paw says Lucy Worsley is a fan of Ruth Goodman. Worth hyping. Yes. Thank you. And Anita says historical romance. Oh, so okay. Not fantasy, historical romance. Okay. What's the Jeannie Lynn that I've read? Maybe it wasn't fantasy. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, she writes in both, I think. And then said, should finish Inkling today, and I'm listening to Spellslinger, which is another great title by Sebastian de Castell. And that is an author I've been recommended to read because of, it's a saucy cover. Speaking with a J? Something kin? No, maybe I'm getting it mixed up. Anyway, this author is on my radar, but I don't know when I'll get to it. After her kid. After the summer, that's for sure. Jim says, I'm reading on the Kindle app, and it tells me how much time is left based on my reading speed. Ah, okay. It's trying to tell you your business. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. But everyone knows that. Everyone knows that here. All right. Well, we got 3 sprints done together, which is fun. You know, I'm an advocate of reading instead and getting shit done. So whatever you showed up and got done today or read today, I'm happy for you. And I hope it's the start of a beautiful weekend. Remember to take a break, stretch, get some water. I'm going to get some iced tea and some cauliflower soup. Be healthy, make good choices, and then hop back into my current reads and update you how many books. I'm going to have a lot of books next Wednesday, friends. Next Wednesday. So Sunday stream is for readathons. Wednesday stream is for a wrap up. And then, yeah, you'll get some updates on the Agitation August extravaganza. So look for those and hope to see you guys again soon. Take care of yourselves. Victoria says, I love when Libby does that because I read faster. You're like trying to beat your record. That's hilarious. Elaine says, come on, Margaret. You're so subtle. I know. You would never know who I support on this channel. It's a mystery. And Victoria says, when it's like, you have an hour left in the book, and then it predicts you won't finish the book for another 3 weeks. It predicts you won't finish the book for another 3 weeks? Because it knows you? No, that's not right, is it? I'm not getting the joke. Maybe you can explain it to me, but yes. Thanks everyone for coming by. And I hope you're excited about Agitation August along with me. We'll be doing book edits. We'll be doing Herkid. Lots of fun things on the go for this summer. But take care of yourselves and happy reading, everyone. Bye.